Well, you're speaking on something you don't experience. You don't have no experience doing.
I'm better at life than you.
Point can you really
the game
make?
for a lot longer than you've been alive. I've accomplished more in my field than you have in yours, though you're just getting started.
Can't experience unless you play it.
So at this point, it's been 3 months since the brand new iterations of Undisputed and First Take have been on the air. And during these 3 months, obviously, there's been some growing pains.
So what, Skip? Skip, it's okay. It's okay. It's been 7 years. Even right, I got you.
And there was a concentrated effort needed in order to recapture some of the chemistry that both partners have had in the past. And it seems like things got to a boiling point for Undisputed at least a couple of days ago between Richard Sherman and Skip Bayless. So before we get to the content, make sure you drop like, subscribe, and turn on our notifications to help the channel grow. Now that we got all that out of the way, break! For the last month and a half, I have plugged in the same freaking ad in each and every video to remind you guys that every single time PrizePicks does this, we end up making money. Last time it was with a Steph Curry free square. This time, it's for Thanksgiving, so we have a few days to lock this in. All Christian McCaffrey needs is 1 yard, which he's gonna get a yard in order for his square to convert, which means we only need to get 1 pick right in order to 3x our money, or 2 picks right to potentially 5x our money. I'm gonna post my picks onto my Instagram at The Flight Mike, and make sure you use my promo code Mikerophone to double your deposit up to $100 when you join PrizePicks. It's worth a shot because historically we have a great win percentage on this. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? For as long as I can remember, I have been a huge fan of Undisputed with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe. So when they broke up over this past summer, it definitely affected me. These two were like peanut butter and jelly of sports debate, and it seemed like these two had incredible chemistry on set together. But as the breakup would happen, Shannon Sharpe would reveal that these two were never really close to begin with, saying things like him and Skip Bayless may have gotten brunch once in their 7-year tenure with one another.
I'm seeing that he's in a mode, he's in a zone in which he doesn't want to be bothered. He's treating this like an actual game. In 7 years, Skip and I went to, I think we had brunch once. And that's okay. Yeah, that's okay. I don't think Skip's a bad guy. I didn't develop the type of work relationship with him because I didn't get the sense that's what he wanted.
And that there was a mutual respect for one another when the show initially began. But as time progressed, a divide would begin between Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe. You'd see instances of Skip Bayless going too far, making little of Shannon Sharpe's playing career.
This is just straight hate by a guy who's jealous that he's still playing at a high level at 45. That's the point.
That's what you do. Every time I call something into question, I'm jealous. I did what I did.
I never said you were jealous of Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, I did what I did. You make it seem like I was a bum. I'm in the effing Hall of Fame. Super Bowl.
So what?
So what?
And if things weren't already bad with that particular incident between Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe, which is something that we haven't seen from them during their entire tenure together, it got way worse when the Damar Hamlin tragedy took place. Skip Bayless put out a tweet that a lot of people felt like was insensitive. Shannon Sharpe would skip a day of Undisputed, and when he would return, Skip Bayless would cut him off, which, by the way, is more foreshadowing for what you're about to see.
Anybody have to be revived and fight for their life on the field. So it struck me a little differently because I remember seeing my brother paralyzed on the field temporarily, and he was able to regain focus. Skip tweeted something, and although I disagree with the tweet, and hopefully Skip would take it down.
I'm not going to take it down because I stand by what I tweeted.
Skip, let me finish.
All right, okay.
Go ahead.
No, you go. Okay.
I mean, I cannot even get through a monologue without you interrupting me.
Well,
you could have came back. Skip,
well, I thought,
Skip, just let me.
I didn't know you were going to bring up this.
I didn't want to yesterday to get into a situation where Damar Hamlin was the issue, was not getting to your tweet. That's what I was going to do. But you can't even let me finish my opening monologue without you interrupting.
Shannon Sharpe would even say that a lot of that is his own fault.
A lot of that is my fault because there were times that led up to that I felt that shots were taken. And I let it go. And I should have said something then, but I didn't. And I would bring it to people's attention and they brushed it up under the rug. So that was my fault that it got to that point and he felt that he could go over the top in that situation. I think in any relationship where there's host, co-host, it's boyfriend, girlfriend, it's husband, wife, whatever the relationship is, once one partner has no respect for the other partner then in turn loses respect for said partner. Then I think it's only a matter of time. Because I felt in that moment he had lost all respect for me. He had no respect for me. I was willing to play out the contract, but I knew it was going to end because it had started to come with greater regularity, disrespect. You can say what you can say I'm loud, you can say I'm obnoxious, you can say I'm arrogant. But to try to poo-poo my career, a 7th rounder that started out on special teams and played so well that I got into the Hall of Fame, to try to minimize that was very disheartening for me. Consider Skip a friend. For you to take that kind of personal shot at me, it really hurt me, Stephen A. It really did.
And it seems like, once again, Skip Bayless is getting into hot water for the same exact reason. The divide between Shannon Sharpe and Skip Bayless was so great that Shannon Sharpe had his contract bought out, which is pretty much a nice way of saying that it was Shannon Sharpe that was fired from the show. Shannon Sharpe didn't leave the show, which was news to me. And I will admit, Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe had excellent pivots for the next stage of their career. Shannon Sharpe would go to ESPN, make regular appearances on First Take, and focus more on his podcast, Club Shay Shay, whereas Skip Bayless would compile a carousel of analysts to debate him on a regular basis. These analysts ranged from Rachel Nichols to Michael Irvin to Keyshawn Johnson to Lil Wayne to most famously Richard Sherman, and that's what today's video is about. To this point, Shannon Sharpe, Skip Bayless's previous co-host, had issues with Skip Bayless disrespecting his past as a Hall of Fame tight end and also cutting him off regularly. It felt like he wasn't able to get a word in, which is actually a major problem in a lot of podcasts that feature a person that, I don't know, likes to hear himself talk too much. I said when Skip Bayless decided to bring on Richard Sherman, it was brilliant. Richard Sherman already finished his Hall of Fame football career and was trying to become an analyst, which I think he is perfect for. I always felt like Richard Sherman was well-spoken, even in his more emotional moments. And of course, when Skip Bayless announced that Richard Sherman was going to join Undisputed, we all immediately thought of this moment that took place on First Take.
That's what I leave it up to. I mean, you can say whatever you want. Skip can say whatever he wants, but Skip, whenever you refer to me, whenever you speak to me, whenever you address me as All-Pro Stanford graduate, because those are some accomplishments you can aspire to, you will never accomplish. You have never accomplished anything. So, but those things are on my resume. Those are what I've done. It's my 2nd year in the NFL, going on my 3rd. I mean, you tell me who's wrong.
Okay, I'll accept that. I think I've accomplished more in my field than you have in yours, though you're just getting started.
So I'm the top of my field. So I'm all pro. I'm the best, one of the best 22 players in the NFL. You're going to brush it off, but I don't think you're the best 22 anything in sports and in media and anything. I think you think more of yourself than you actually can, prove. But
okay. Do you think you're better than Darrelle Revis is right now?
In my 24 years of life, I'm better at life than you.
Okay.
So
all right, that's fair.
Let's get down to that.
Let's not get personal here.
And the interesting part about this is it's once again a lot of foreshadowing. The argument that Skip Bayless and Richard Sherman have on Undisputed sounds very similar to the argument that they had 10 years ago. Skip Bayless, Keyshawn Johnson, and Richard Sherman are discussing the hip drop tackle, which the NFL is considering banning, considering how Mark Andrews suffered a season-ending injury. Florida State quarterback Jordan Travis also suffered a serious leg injury due to the hip drop tackle. So when Skip Bayless and Richard Sherman started debating it, things got a little heated.
Back in week 4, and he went crazy about the Giants because they hip dropped him, and he said by the grace of God he survived the hip drop. And now we see Jordan Travis.
What
the problem is?
What's crazy is the Geno Smith one.
Let me finish, Richard.
I'm
speaking.
I love Skip Bayless, but the fact that he had to say I'm speaking is hilarious. This has been an ironic theme ever since the new Undisputed started. If you guys remember, after the very first day, we've seen moments like this.
I'm sorry, I hadn't been on TV in a while. I don't mean to take over nothing.
And what's crazy is this would just be the beginning.
I'll let you speak, but you're not speaking from experience. So stop raising your voice, Skip.
You knew things were about to go down when Richard Sherman brought up his experience and you heard the pen drop. Because these two have had this exact same argument before a decade ago, where Richard Sherman brought up his experience on the football field and Skip Bayless gave the same exact argument 10 years ago as he is right now.
Are you gonna let me speak or not?
Well, you're speaking on something you don't have no experience doing. So, I mean, what point can you really make?
I've covered the game for a lot longer than you've been alive.
You covered the game. Yeah. I've actually played the game longer than you ever played. So, like, what we're talking about is something that actually happens in the game that you can't experience unless you play it.
And it's just wild because 10 years ago, Skip Bayless brought up the exact same point. He's been covering the game longer than Richard Sherman was playing the game. Now, if this happened about a year ago, I would think that this was some sort of manufactured drama for views, because that's what I was speculating the Shannon Sharpe and Skip Bayless beef was a year ago, and I was absolutely wrong about that. In the case of Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe, the tensions that we saw on Undisputed ended up boiling over and resulted in Shannon Sharpe's departure. Now, do I think this is nearly as big of a deal? No, not really. I just think this is stuff that Richard Sherman is frustrated about and Skip Bayless is frustrated about. I mean, Skip has been getting cut off a lot on his own show ever since launching the new Undisputed, and Richard Sherman's just being Richard Sherman. He's always been this outspoken to begin with. At the end of the day, I really wish Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe never broke up. They were like perfect for each other. Shannon Sharpe had this incredible ability to not only tolerate Skip Bayless's personality, but be his 100% unfiltered self. And it was just so fun to watch these two. And maybe I'm just having trouble getting through that because I felt like that show was awesome. And I do think that the current format could have potential, especially with how Richard Sherman likes to speak his mind. But down the line, this could potentially be something that boils over, or this could just be a gigantic nothing burger. Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about all this. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike. I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.
Microphone.